Hey everybody, this is Retro Challenge Gamer, and we're going to be moving into World 4 of my Super Mario World for Super Mario Maker 2, and we're going to be moving to what some of my players who I keep contact with in my communities have said the difficulty starts ramping up here. Now, I want to take a moment to explain something about my design and philosophy going through this world. My biggest inspiration was, of course, Super Mario Bros. 3, as I've mentioned several times before. But most of the levels that I found playing through Super Mario Maker, they're not very, I guess you could say, appealing to me, because I've always been the one who's grown up on the old standard Mario levels that actually are, well, levels. And it seems like a lot of the levels in Super Mario Maker, ones that are being created by folks, which, don't get me wrong, very talented, very amazing, skilled folks at these levels, especially those who make these troll levels. You know, some of the things they do are just fantastic and spectacular. But unfortunately, they're just no fun to play, at least for me. I'm more of someone, when I went into Mario Maker, I was expecting some good, interesting, unique levels to be played, and I didn't get that. All I got was gimmicky, pixel-perfect jumps and just crazy ideas that were just... They were good for what they were, but they didn't make a level for me. So when I made this, I was just like, I want to make legitimate levels where there's no gimmicks, there's no pixel perfect, you have to be perfect, constantly on the move, jumping from, you know, platform to platform, enemy to enemy, throwing things at, it just got completely ridiculous how some of these levels were, and Mario Maker just wasn't fun for me, and so I was like, I want to make levels that appeal to me, levels that I enjoy playing, and that I think others will too. People who don't want to, or don't have the skill that these expert gamers do, you know, where a lot of people, they boo this level, but then, you know, the expert YouTube gamers, they're just like, this level's amazing, and they're just like pulling off these feats of superhuman dexterity and everything, and I'm just like, I can't do that, that's not fun to me. So making these levels using the old design philosophy of Mario and stuff, I found was way more appealing and way more satisfying to me, and I hope for those who play the Super World, I hope you feel the same way as I do. So I kind of talked over that whole first level, and I do apologize, but as you can see, you know, what I've said before, that philosophy that I'm trying to instill in the Super World, you probably clearly saw that through the progression of the first level that we kind of just skipped over. So here I'm bringing back the idea of the P-block switches, and so which create platforms, introduce it into a safe area. And now we have kind of like a maze, I guess you could say, not really, of blocks that you have to get through, now with a little more danger, the bottomless pit. Yeah, if you just slid down the slope, you probably could have gotten one up there. Now here, I will admit, I was not entirely happy with the small little interconnected maze of P-switch blocks, but it worked out for what it was. So on the whole, I actually had to re-upload this level after release of my Super World and had to reset everybody's progress. I'm sorry if you got caught in the middle of that. It was because of this section alone. Again, as I've stated in my World 2 video, designing for Propeller Mario is, to me, very difficult. I just found that making something that was fair and still beatable, even despite having Propeller Mario or losing him, was hard. Like, there's a Propeller Mario butt mushroom or whatever in that question block that I did not hit. And then I think there's this pipe, which I put in, which was put in the re-release, which gives you infinite Propeller Mario mushrooms, so you don't have to go past, you know, go back down or anything. And then, of course, one of these question blocks has Propeller Mario mushroom as well. So I gave you a lot of chances, more so than World 2-2, to reclaim your Propeller Mario mushroom. And I think I moved that pipe, that yellow pipe, down a bit, so it would be more in view, and changed it from blue to yellow so the pea switches would come out faster, because it took forever for those things to come out, and people didn't know what they were supposed to do. So this level went through quite a few redesigns, and even now I'm not entirely happy with it, but it's just like, if I keep messing with it, and keep worrying about making it perfect, then I would never release the Super World. So at some point, you're just going to have to cut your losses and be like, this is good enough, and release the level. And I made all of this, all 40 levels, all 8 worlds, within a span of a month. So every week I was like making 5 to 6 levels, minimum. So it was pretty crazy going through this in a span of a month. It was exhausting after going to work, having to come home, deal with the kids, make dinner, clean the house, and then settled in for like 2 or 3 hours of just making these levels for everybody. So it was pretty nuts. But I hope in the end it paid off, and based on the responses and good comments and the amount of plays this is getting, maybe word is getting around that this is, I would hope, a decent enough Super World that might appeal to a lot of people. Maybe not to those hardcore YouTubers, but to most people, hopefully. Now this one, I got this idea from another level, this ghost house idea, Reflections of Darkness. I don't remember where I got it from, or if it's been a trope that's been played out in other games before, but basically the concept is I show you a hint of where the key is, and you study the hint, and you go in the pipe, now everything is dark. This is actually, in my opinion, one of the better dark levels designed, because I had purpose in mind when I designed it. I didn't design it dark just to troll you, or, you know, hide all those hidden pits or anything. Everything was pretty much out in the open, and I gave you enough light with these fireballs to kind of see where you were going. So, you go into these dark room areas to find the key. And I kept it dark for a purpose, because the clue, if it was not dark, would be super easy to spot. And so I wanted darkness to hide the clue as best as I could. Now, you could technically jump over this pit that's right here, or you could let the snake block do it for you. And I completely ruin it anyway. That was a horrible example of skill. But if you remember where the snake block ends and the clue that's given to you there, the hidden key is just above those question blocks. So I only had enough doors and enough pipes and things like that, due to the arbitrary limits of the Super Mario Maker 2 engine, to do 3 Seek the Key challenges, and each one was a different challenge. So the first one was easy. You had the question mark blocks as a firm, I guess you could say, landmark to find the key. Now this one, you don't have it exactly as a firm landmark, but you do have this box with the power block door. So using that and the mushroom on the floor, you can kind of figure out where the key is. This one's a little harder. Now the third and final one, you actually need to use an enemy to go grab it, and it actually shows you where in the blocks it is, in this little group of blocks that you're going to find here in the third darkness section. And I think this is the third Mackie Koopa of the 3 that were added in version 3.0 of Super Mario Maker 2, and the first appearance of it in my Super World. Of course, I introduced these characters in a somewhat safe way, behind a wall, so you can see what they do. They're actually one of my most fun Mecha Koopas to use. I find them extremely satisfying, and they're actually pretty good for puzzle solutions, or just blocking your way, or anything else. Highly recommend using these often. Now getting back can be a little tricky. But you're pretty much done with the majority of the level at this point. After here, it's just getting to the end, beating Boom Boom, and finishing up the level. The puzzle aspect is done. But yeah, this was a very good ghost house that I'm actually very proud of. So you have one last skill-based section to go through. No real enemies of note other than Magic Koopa, so if you get rid of him early, he's not going to be a problem and trip you up here. Now that arrow's there for a reason. Since you don't get dragged along with the snake block, you're going to have to make a small little run and duck to kind of make it through before the snake block drops on you. Small little spike fall a la Mega Man. I couldn't make it any bigger than that, unfortunately, just due to the limitations of how this level is set up. So, Boom Boom isn't any harder than he was last time. In fact, he's even easier, but the darkness is there as a kind of, I guess you could say an equalizer of sorts in terms of difficulty. And that's it. That's actually probably one of the longest levels up so far in the Super World.
Oh yeah, Mario time!
But I was very proud of that one. I enjoyed making the clues and figuring out how they were all going to interconnect in the dark areas. So, but we're almost to the end. 2 more levels left in World 4. And personally, I can understand how the difficulty ramps up, especially after the Ghost House. The first 2 levels of World 4 was nothing home to write about, but the next underground level and the airship, that I think probably warranted the discussion that was had by this is the turning point in difficulty for my Super World. Now, I was very happy with this design, especially the second subworld, and I'll tell you why. Frostbear in mind, I wanted to re-add back ice physics because I think you're not going to see them again until World 7. So I kind of wanted to remind people, oh yeah, there are ice physics still in this game. We introduced early in, what is it, World 2.4, and now we reintroduce ice physics and icicles back in 4.4. And bullet bills. So we're intermingling 2 different types. So we introduced the ice first, then the bullet bills, now together with the Buzzy Beetles. So 3 things all together. We are now putting together one challenge here. And icicles, of course, at the end. Now we get the seesaws, which will come into play later. So I'm starting to mix and match gizmos and gimmicks and stuff that we saw in previous levels in new and interesting and varied ways. Like, this was crazy fun to design, and I enjoyed myself greatly trying to test it. As aggravating as it might look, I actually had fun testing this level. Now here, the subworld right here, I had fun designing this because I love multi-layered sections of platforms like this. So as you can see, I overloaded it, so it can be a little confusing at first to kind of decipher what's going on. But there's a lot of semi-solid platforms that produce this nice, interconnected, leveled section that ends, of course, in ice, bullet bills, icicles, and a seesaw. Now this final section, I've realized, if you just keep going and don't stop, you're going to make it through just fine. Now if you hesitate, that's when you run into problems, and this last section actually might be difficult for you.
Oh yeah, Mario time!
So, a lot of platforming intensive actions needed in that particular level. Okay, second airship level. I was thinking, Lemmy. What would Lemmy do with his airship? He would do something crazy. That little crazy, small, Koopa kid of him. He would make a towering battleship. He would make a vertical battleship that is interconnected together instead of one big, long battleship. So I decided to make this particular level tall. And I think it actually worked out for the best. But first, you need, of course, to get out from the underground. I felt like this final last test of on-off switches was good, and it actually took me, I think, a good hour to finally get this right, which was just difficult enough to be challenging, but not too stupid enough that people would just give up. So I was introduced to the concept of having under the airship platforms like this in a level that I played online. I don't remember what level it was, I'm sorry. But I liked the idea. I tested it out just a little bit in this level, but then I used it more frequently in future airship levels. So as you can see, the vertical nature of this particular airship is highly unique, and I have yet to see it in any airship level, you know, since mine, pretty much. So there's a main central pillar that runs up the length of this entire level, and that connects all the disparate pieces of this one single battleship. So Lemmy's just a crazy Koopa kid who has aspirations of making the tallest battleship ever. And I'd have to say, this level is leaps and bounds in difficulty beyond anything you've done so far. In fact, World 5 ramps down the difficulty for a couple levels before bringing it back up again after this level. So if you feel like you're having a hard time with this level, don't worry, you're not alone. It actually is a common consensus, even among, you know, even myself, I admit that. Because, you know, it's an airship level. I gotta make it hard. I love these levels. Okay, and Lemmy, oh my gosh, his boss battle. His boss battle. I kept adding things until I felt it was just hard enough, because Lemmy himself doesn't exactly do any damage to you. His balls don't do damage. They actually are meant to push you off into the spikes on the side. So he has no active attack that he uses to hurt you. So I used the fire wheels and the cannonballs to kind of make things worse. And it ends up being a very tricky boss battle as a result. And so we come back down into the underworld, as it were, and going through Lemmy is actually not ideal. You would want to take the upper path, because the lower path is just about blocked for you, as evidenced by his balls that he's really being successful in pushing me back. Alright, we just need to get on him, or get over him, and yeah, that is literally the midway point of the super world. And rightfully so, it's a very difficult level for the midpoint of my super world. No one's got a good time on it. It's been over 4 minutes, and I know my clear check time, I think, was around 3 minutes. So, if you can do better, I wish you luck. So now we've been underground. It made sense to me that it's now time to go up into the sky. I mean, why not? And I will explain more about how this overworld actually got changed several times in the next video. But I was very happy with that last level, and I'm very surprised I made it as interesting as I did, given its vertical nature. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you in the next one, following me along in World 5. So until then, stay retro.